In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing how to set up a line trace. So what a line trace is it effectively takes from one starting point to an end point, and it detects if anything gets collided in between those 2 points. So this is very good for things like hit traced shooter games, or if you're wanting to do something where when you look at something, you can interact with it rather than just being in the vicinity around it. So there's many different applications of it, but what I'm going to be showing is how to set that up within a game. So first thing we need to do is go into the character's blueprint. So line trace is typically done with first person games, but you can do it for things like over the shoulder third person games. If you're doing like a top down clicker game, it might be that you do a hit trace to see what you're actually clicking on and things like that. But the most common usage of it is through a first person character. So that's why I've got the third person character template set up here. So if we open this up, you can see the event graph here, but we want to do an event tick. So we want to run this line trace all the time, and then once it starts to detect something, then it'll instantly notice it. So from this event tick, we want to search line trace by channel. So make sure it's line trace by channel and not multi-line trace. Multi-line trace allows it to get multiple hits. So if it hits something, it still goes through it and then hits another thing. But obviously, if you're just wanting it where you're looking at something and you can interact with it, you don't want to be able to have multiple line traces. So line trace by channel is probably the one that you want to click on. So that's the one that I'm going to go through. So with this, you've got a few things that you need to set up. So start and end location is the main one. So to get that, the start location is going to be wherever the camera is. So get the first person camera or whatever camera you've got and drag it into the event graph. And then we need to get the world location. So wherever the camera currently is, that's the start location. What we then need to do is get wherever the camera's rotated, so get world rotation. So we obviously don't want it where it's only looking at a 0 degree angle like north, let's say. We want to be able to get it wherever it's looking at, get the location forward from that. So what we need to do, get world rotation, then get forward vector. This then gets the vector of whatever's forward of the camera. The thing with this though is it only goes forward 1 unit. So what we then need to do is multiply that to get however many units you want to be able to detect it to detect in front of you. So if I do multiply, so this is an interesting thing. If you're working in Unreal Engine 5, this has changed from Unreal Engine 4. So what it used to be in Unreal Engine 4 would be you'd drag off this, you'd search multiply, and you'd have stuff like vector times float, vector times in, all that kind of thing. It would be separated. Whereas in Unreal Engine 5, what you do is you just get the generic multiply and then right click the empty one, and then you can convert pin. So we're going to do float in this case, and then it changes that second value to a float. So if, for instance, I want 500 units ahead of me, I'd search 500. This would just be a case of testing it. If it works as you intend it to do, leave it at that number. If it doesn't change it based on what you need. So now that we've got the forward vector, we want to add that to the world location. So get the world location and then add the forward units and then put that to the end. Okay, so we've got it where the start is the camera location and then 500 units ahead of the camera's location currently is the end point. So if we then change the draw debug type, we can start to preview what it is that it's detecting. So for 1 frame allows you to just get for 1 frame detect whatever it's currently looking at. So that would be it's in runtime. For duration is good if you've got a line trace linked to, let's say, shooting, and you're just doing it left click and it's not a tick every single frame. this is good to see what it actually goes through. But for one frame would probably be the one that you want. So if I start to walk forward, you can see 500 units ahead of me. It starts to detect it. It gives this red debug square, and we can start to mouse it over things, and then that gets a reference to if it's hit. So what you do then is on the out hit, you'd search break hit result, drop this down, and you get a whole load of information about what's currently being done. So the impact location, whatever the actor is called that it hit, all that kind of thing. All of these can be relevant in some way. So this is how you set up a line trace for your game.